I was always a fan of wrestling, but there's an episode of WWF wrestling program that I regret watching. I was always a nice kid, quiet, reserved. Truthfully, Twizzlers and Goya brand soda was the only guilty pleasures I had in life. Well, that and wrestling. I know you think wrestling is lame and phony, but when I was a kid, my uncle used to take me behind the playground in his underwear and teach me how he did his best wrestling moves. Before I tell you anything else about me, you should know that I am a doctor. I'm pretty fucking intelligent. I spent 4 years in college, 4 years in medical school, and 4 years in post residency, only to have it all ruined during one split second of poor judgment on my part. You see, I'm not just any kind of doctor, I'm a proctologist. I spent 8 years of my fucking life studying anuses of all shapes and sizes. Now I know what you're thinking. What's a proctologist doing talking about lost episodes? Well, as it turns out, I was on my lunch break. I was having a large salami sub covered in hot mustard attempting to save a man's life, being a doctor. The salami was quite salty, so I needed refreshment in the form of bubbly soft drinks. I was drinking Dr. Pepper because it's the drink of choice when you are a doctor. At least I don't Mountain Dew salt for a fucking living. What does that mean? Who cares? I'm a doctor. Anyways, it's hard saving lives. I had just finished surgically cutting a man's ass open and removing an obstruction. Believe it or not, it was a VHS tape. Now I already know what you're thinking. How did a VHS tape get lodged in a man's ass? Evidently, this guy was a huge fan of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was practicing dance moves when he slipped on a Virtual Boy console that had every game for it, including Wario's Pancake Adventure and Wario World in Waterworld HD. Now, normally we would place the obstructions in surgical trays and hand them off to the police so they can analyze for possible murder clues. But this obstruction was different. As the nurse came in, I told her that he had eaten too many Skittles and that was how he died. She informed me that the patient was still alive. I removed his IV, scattered some Skittles around his butt cheeks, and left the office. Now, I've always been a huge wrestling fan. It was seeing those sweaty men in tights and leopard print leotards tumbling around while grinding their genitals that inspired me to enter the medical profession. But this tape was different. Maybe it's because it had been in someone's ass, or maybe it was because someone ready to fuck you, you stupid fucking doctor, and marked it on the front of it. I stopped at McDonald's on the way home and tried ordering a McRib sandwich, but they were out. I asked them to give me several McChickens and squeeze them into a McRib-shaped patty, but they refused. I informed them that I was a fucking doctor and I'd get them all cancer. They did proceed with my plans. I just drove up to the front of the drive-thru and on my tricycle. I never learned to drive or ride a bicycle when the bus is dangerous because I live in the city streets of Harlem. City streets of Harlem. Excuse me right there. I demanded my McRibs. I gave them a disheveled, angry cancer stare, and they piled mountains of McRibs onto my tricycle. I ordered my second Dr. Pepper and tricycled back to my $5 million apartment, McRibs and VHS in tow. I noticed from the corner of my eye that there was a professional wrestler following my tricycle. I was driving down the sidewalk and he was following me with his car. What concerned me was that he was following me on the sidewalk, knocking over bushes, mailboxes, and lampposts while slowly following me. I thought nothing of it. Knowing that the wrestlers are known to be quite devious in their holiday of choice, Cinco de Mayo. And what do you know? Today was Cinco de Mayo. I took out my doctor's coat, I'm a doctor, and set the piñata for two children to play with. I provided them with a festive piñata stick and told them to be careful because the large papier-mâché model of their father's head was full of contraceptive sponges and dirty syringes. I don't have children, but I live alone and I call my dogs my children. My dogs stood there on their hind legs. One was wearing a baseball cap and the other, solid-shaped dog, was playing the piano. Oh, fun tricks I taught them during medical school. I gave them bacon strips, a special bacon made for dogs, and ate some myself. This didn't taste like bacon at all. I felt strong disappointment, but now it's time for the VHS. I went over to the VHS tape player, pushed the lost WWF episode to the slot. I immediately heard a man screaming outside, "Give me the fucking VHS or I will break you into 2 pieces." I looked outside to see only 2 bushes, and I'm not talking about US presidents. I'm talking about foliage, however you say that word. But something professional wrestlers shaped was hiding in the bushes. It may even have been a professional wrestler. It could have also been 2 normal wrestlers or 3 midgets glued together a leotard on. But I thought nothing of it. I had a VHS tape to watch. As the bushes continued to friend beat me up, I watched the tape. Wait a minute. Bushes can't threaten. I pressed play, being a huge fan of the old VHS library. I'm a bit of a VHS aficionado. I have all the lost episodes, wall to wall. In retrospect, I shouldn't have watched this VHS. It appeared to be a more recent WWF episode, with all my favorite wrestlers in hot spandex getting ready to beat each other up. Now I was told wrestling was fake. I never believed it. How could something like that be fake? No, wrestling is real because I say it is, and I am a real doctor. The first wrestler came out to thunderous applause. He was a wrestler I wasn't familiar with. The announcer announced him. "Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear a big round of applause for Comic Sans the Man Hernandez." The audience roared over loudly as a nude Mexican man walked down the center platform toward the ring while the audience cheered ever loudly. He gave up with a middle finger, gyrated his ball sack toward the audience. They continued to cheer, but they also threw soda at him. Some weird jalopy Hispanic music was playing the kind you hear outside of a burrito car in Little Havana. And here to take him on, representing the struggle for border control and current American society, thanks Obama, please welcome... The announcer was cut off by gagging. It was Hulk Hogan, the famous professional wrestler, or it looked kind of like him, but more sinister. "Announce my fist in your ass, brother," he yelled, flexed his muscles. He looked more sinister. His veins were popping out of his neck and his skin was orange. His handlebar mustache flared. "I'm gonna fuck all you up," he yelled at the audience. "You see this VHS tape?" he yelled, holding up a VHS tape. "I'm gonna shove this so far up your ass that not even the best proctologist in the world will be able to remove it." It seemed strange that the wrestler would frighten a man by shoving a VHS in his ass. Wait a minute. It was the very VHS tape I was watching. Personally, I was rooting for Comic Sans Hernandez. Hulk Hogan entered the ring. I now noticed that many people filling the seats looked like Common Garden variety Halloween skeletons you'd find at Walmart for $6.99. Some of them even had the price tag still on them. "You're gonna be the skeleton when I fist your asshole and put your skeleton for your asshole, brother," he yelled, pointing for the television at me. "They're gonna wear your skin like a chastity belt as I pound your fucking face in, you goddamn nerd, brother." I was really offended by all this yelling. "I'm gonna make them wear your skin to a Halloween party. They can come dressed as the nerd, and also part of your skin will be the chastity belt." I fucking get it, I thought. Enough already. "No one will hang around the person wearing your skin at the party." I went over to shut the tape off. Hulk Hogan was clear rambling. "Shut this fucking tape off, and I'll shut your dick off with my fist," he yelled. His hand seemed to be coming out of the television in some weird 3D effect. I screamed and jumped back. He grabbed at my cock, but I was several inches from the TV, so he couldn't reach. What an amazing visual trick. I looked at the VHS tape and now noticed that this was made by Pixar. In fact, most of the Toy Story characters were in the front row of the wrestling match, drinking and promoting Mountain Dew products for the upcoming Pixar film Dew, an endearing CGI movie about a drop of Mountain Dew that is underappreciated by a throat. Comic Sans, the man Hernandez picked up a chair and smashed it on Hulk Hogan's head. He fell down. Where was I? He fell down on a visual bloody bump and started crying. "Chairs!" he cried. "My one weakness." I was starting to get disturbed now. More disturbed than I ever been watching WWF wrestling. I looked out the window. Whoever was in the bushes was throwing plastic spiders at me in an attempt to spook me. It was working. Tears began to stream down my face. I went back to watching. Hulk Hogan lay in a pool of his own blood, mumbling, "Your balls are mine. When I rip them out, it's gonna be you that's drinking his own blood." He had swallowed his own tongue. "Take my tongue, you tongue test, brother." Comic Sans, the man, showboated his skills to the Toy Story characters to thunderous applause and ambulance drove for the building, killing several people to reach the stage. He ripped off his public merkin, revealing the words "I, winner," scrawled in Comic Sans font. But then something evil and sinister started to happen. Hundreds of hands began to reach toward the stage. They were celebrating Cinco de Mayo. They threw Mexican cuisine onto the stage, chilies, rellenos, mozas, and even tamales began to envelope the screen as Hulk Hogan lay there dead. A tiny chimpanzee jumped onto the set and started shaking maracas. My dogs began to dance. My dachshund, however you say that word, swayed to the music, smiling at me. My son. My phone rang. "I'm in the bushes," the voice said. It sounded ever wrestlish, like a professional wrestler of sorts. "If you ever want to see your children again, you better give me that goddamn VHS tape." I looked at the window. My 2 children. They had been kidnapped. A trail of baggage strips sat 2 feet across the grass. My 2 dachshund, however you say that word again, sons, Stefan and Stefan, were dangling like hot dogs over a vat of boiling hot mustard. "I'm gonna cook these dogs up real good, like those McRib sandwiches you ate earlier," he yelled, revealing he had been following me in a shocking twist. "How's this for a surgical procedure?" he yelled and ripped off the yellow spandex of his pants. He had shoved an entire donkey up his ass. "You know, Doc, they say laughter's the best medicine." The donkey began to laugh at me. In his ass. I looked at my doctor's diploma. It was just Denny placement I had scrawled on with a crayon. I had wasted 8 years of my life getting an uncredited degree in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And I remembered. The patient we were operating on, it was Comic Sans Man Hernandez, a nudist prison convict from General Escobedo, New Mexico. So the VHS was real. I mean, of course it was, given how high quality the video was. No amount of CG in the world could make wrestling look real. "No," Hogan said. "My wrestling's not real, and you're not a real doctor. These aren't even real bushes." I looked down. They were plastic bushes he had strategically purchased at Walgreens to trap me. His eyes grew blood red and blood began to drip from his face. So disheveled was Mr. Hogan that he grabbed me and bent me over. He pulled out a Buzz Lightyear action figure. "To infinity and beyond!" I screamed bloody murder as the plastic Buzz Lightyear toy went straight up my ass. As I began to pass out, I leered over at that car that had been following me. Someone was filming from the front seat using an old camcorder pop-out VHS tape. "Let's see how Comic Sans Hernandez gets out of this one," Hulk Hogan laughed. "They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. He laughed and bit into an apple. Laughter is the best medicine. He laughed loudly. He already used that one. So I said, wrecked him? I nearly killed him. Hulk Hogan laughed as I swallowed my tongue. My dash hounds began to cry as they were slowly lowered into the hot mustard and mutilated to death. Well, hot dog.